Hey, what's up everyone? It's Jamie. So I'm going to real quick go over, since it's a hot topic, 9/11. Two things that we're going to do here. We're going to talk about one, whether or not it should be reinvestigated, which I think it should, and two, the manipulations, that is the psychological manipulations on people that have been perpetrated, and in a broader scale or a broader picture, how people are unable to critically think about new information or, you know, ideas that go against their presupposed beliefs. I'm going to start with the latter. So first, in talking with people about 9/11, somebody had posted a image that was saying, here comes 9/11 conspiracy people. But what's really important to note about this type of thinking is that very often people are taught to accept things as told to them from authorities, and this happens to a fault. A lot of it comes from mass media programming that you see, like the CNN Fox dichotomy, or government party dichotomy, Republican Democrat. Can come from your parents, teachers, whoever is a source of authority in your life. And what happens is that you're told to believe a certain way, and other types of beliefs are labeled a certain type of negative term. So let's take an example of conservative and liberal, or something like of that nature. To a Democrat, if somebody said, "Oh, that's a conservative paper," their instant mind would be like, "Ooh, tune this out. I don't want to read that. That must be bad." Or if Republican was given a newspaper and they said, "Oh, this is a liberal paper or a leftist paper," they'd be like, "Ooh, this could be bad." The brain starts to tune things out. Or if you say, "Oh, conspiracy theorist," or something like that, key psychological words that are programmed in your mind to automatically tune you off to something. If someone's called a racist, that's a common one. The idea is to get you to tune your brain out, stop listening, stop critically thinking. And so this happens often with, things like conspiracies, because they just label somebody, that is, other people label somebody as a conspiracy theorist. Or something like that, and you stop thinking critically or taking the information and digesting it, and evaluating the facts on an individual basis. And so this is a big type of psychological manipulation that occurs quite often. It's very well perpetrated by mass media. I think they're one of the best utilizers of this type of left-right paradigm. The Hegelian dialect. Causing a problem, then saying, "Oh, here's a solution that we create." It's this type of, crazy imbalance that is crafted in people's minds, instead of just straight thinking. Straight thinking, I mean, look through each fact individually, look at all the sources individually, do your own critical reasoning, no matter what type of thing it is labeled by a third person. So bring it back now to 9/11. I, of course, think that the evidence, at least from what I've read, pouring through old news reports, reading different documents produced by people at 89/11 Truth, reading through hard news, reading through eyewitness accounts, I find that there are a lot of inconsistencies. I mean, I'm not a scientific expert in any sort of engineering. I just with my legal training, I look for inconsistencies in what people say. I look for meaning in what people say, and I deduce whether or not there may be an issue. And from that perspective, I find that there are things that are very suspect. And I also have seen a history, and a repeated history, of the government performing different types of false flags. For example, the underwear bomber, that's I think it's Flight 239 bomber, that was admitted to be a guy who was permitted to go through the scanners. He was, the CIA, FBI knew about him, and they intentionally let him through as a test. There was actually somebody filming him on the plane, and you can actually look up more on this. Kurt Haskell was an attorney who witnessed all this. He did a really good blog statement. That his blog is currently down, but I think you can get a mirror of it. But there is video of him talking about this and talking about the record, and him actually watching congressional hearings where they admit, oh, on the record, "Oh yes, we let these people through because it's part of our mission. We can't screw that up." So they let people through who they know supposedly have dangerous materials, and it's just all a sham. So that being said, I think it's really important that people take a look at the information, and especially I think what's most interesting to me is that on an international perspective, 9/11 is seen as a very unusual event. It's only in America, where there's a U.S. government programming that people are just so hush hush about it. But on a international scale, other engineers around the globe see this as like, okay, that's really strange that 3 buildings fell at near free fall speed and only 2 planes supposedly hit, and then of course things like the Pentagon and them only releasing basically 2 frames of what really doesn't even look like a plane from a side camera among all the cameras that they had available. I mean, there's a lot of things that just really don't line up too well. So with that, I have 2 videos that are worth watching. Actually, it was created by the engineers and architects from AE 9/11 Truth, and actually I had the opportunity to speak with one such architect who was a Harvard graduate. He got his master's of architecture, and we discussed it quite a bit, and it was very fascinating, and I think it's worth just watching. You don't have to be convinced that, oh, the government sat there and orchestrated every little tidbit and had their itineraries, but it should make you think, okay, there's more to the story than what was told. And personally, I find it to be true. Having originally come from New York, I was very surprised to learn later after the fact that WTC-7 was not reported about much at all. So I put some of those links down below, and I hope that clarifies some things. And really just want to emphasize again how important it is that people overcome their psychological barriers when it comes to critical thinking. It's very easy for people to label something, and that's a real key tactic of social manipulation and programming. It's collectivism. It's, oh, I'm going to label something this, and the second that I label it that, I demean it, and then your brain turns off. That's the key. As long as you can get someone to turn their brain off and not evaluate information anew, then you have control of their mind. And as long as you can throw out ad hominem attacks, as long as you can attack things without actually looking at the base substance or the underlying true evidence, video evidence, reports, conflicting stories, I mean, then you're just losing out. There's nothing to be prideful about in ignorance. Ignorance is not a lapel pin to be wearing. All right, well, take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later.